Hey, before I get into the terrible monetization tactics enacted by Activision Blizzard, I want to put some context into the limited amount of information we know for the development of Overwatch 2. To do so, I made a very poorly made timeline in order to explain some of these events. Back in 2018, the introduction of Black Launch was the brand new Overwatch Archives event for Overwatch 2018. In this event, if I recall correctly, Jeff Kaplan had actually discussed the desire of him and the team to create a PvE experience being some of the original goals for Overwatch. So, where does this put the development of the sequel between Archives and the Overwatch 2 announcement? Well, if you don't already know, in order for them to have teased the whole mission in the announcement, they would have needed to create new assets, abilities from the hero talent tree, and a new game philosophy in order to tackle PvE missions. No one really knows when they started the development, but I would say back in Archives, Black Launch is a safe bet. That would have given the Overwatch development team at least a year to start working on a prototype to show off for BlizzCon 2019. In 2019, the death of the game was already incoming. This was the game that was receiving fewer content updates. At this point, we would only get a hero a year, which was extremely lacking for the whole gaming industry, and this would be explained during Overwatch 2's beta/developer update video. The video is actually very insightful. They had announced three major things. 1. The game was in a rough state, and it was worsened by the team's internal commitment to Overwatch 2, the sequel. 2. The game is separated into two components, the PvE and the PvP. 3. Along with the last point, this also means the PvE and the PvP will release at two different times, the PvP at the time only being announced as having a beta. Okay, but hold on. If the sequel is being split into two, why did they decide to release the PvP first? Well, this point is a lot more analytical and a lot more speculative, so let me try to attempt and, follow along, but keep in mind this is pretty much all speculation. It has been 6 long years for the Overwatch development, which means for the last 6 years they have been developing the game for free. How? Because Overwatch is a one-time buy game. You buy the license, you have the game. So, they're not making money like every other free-to-play live service game. This is why free skins are compelling in Overwatch, because they were developing dozens of legendaries over years for very little revenue, as loot boxes were virtually free. You could play the game for free after, spending money on the game for the first time. In other words, they were maintaining a game for virtually no real cash flow in return for Activision Blizzard. Now, I want to get something right quickly. I don't support Overwatch's monetization. I would have agreed up to the Battle Pass, but everything else is unacceptable, quite frankly. And this is really a problem with the gaming industry, not really just with Overwatch. It just seems like more people are outraged at Overwatch recently, which is fine, it's understandable, but truly every other game has incredibly dirty tactics in order to get them to, or you, to give them money. So, since Activision Blizzard is an extremely money-oriented company after all, it is a public company, and these companies have to focus profits for shareholders over creativity. Regardless, Overwatch 1 had died due to a lack of development, and this was partly increased without a drive to continue developing Overwatch for free, and having to pay for employees and maintaining servers. No great company would have done this unless they were just trying to develop their company for free. So, how do you introduce a live service model in Overwatch? You can't exactly make a new update and kill every future free update in Overwatch 1. It's too hard and it would receive, backlash. And people aren't going to come back to, since most people will just see it as an update and an update to monetization. So, the best solution from a business perspective was to revive Overwatch, call it Overwatch 2, and change the monetization. The benefits are simple. More players, more hype, a new game, and a new live service model to maintain, and most importantly for Activision Blizzard, earn a profit. Also, a free-to-play model, which, just adds on to the profit. And here's the thing. If you're truly a fan of the Overwatch gameplay experience, then you have noticed the amount of content released in Overwatch 2 was actually several patches worth, but most likely more content than the most content released in a single year of Overwatch's best year. But I can agree that visually speaking, the game really just feels like an update. I have been having a lot of fun in Overwatch, and I've probably poured over 100 hours already in these last 3 weeks. Great, I loved it. I love the renewed hype, but I cannot look past the monetization. And hey, here's the thing. The PvE was supposed to be the main part of the sequel. It's what was supposed to redefine the gameplay, the sequel. Since the PvP would have just been extra modes, most likely, a couple of maps, new heroes, that's pretty much it. Nothing sequel-like. The PvE was supposed to have some of mission structures like Diablo, and supposed to have hundreds of missions or whatever, probably dozens. I don't know if it's hundreds of unique, but it's probably at least a couple of dozen unique missions. The point is, the PvP was never really being worked on, and PvE for Overwatch has probably been in the works for the last 4 years. Given during their conventions and news, anytime they showed Overwatch 2 news, it was always about PvE showing some decently cool developments. Given the new Halloween event, they have actually shown potential for the Overwatch PvE can be good. Now here's the other thing. Anytime they released Overwatch 2 news, it was never about the PvP, most likely because it was never actually being developed on. This is the most likely case. Now, the monetization wasn't horrible, up to the point where they started making old skins extremely expensive, and the new skins can be cool, at least the Halloween ones. A lot of the new Overwatch heroes have reskinned versions of the original and colored them a little bit differently and selling them for $20. And the new Halloween event is the worst. It's not a problem Halloween skins aren't free, but the problem lies in the fact that the skins are extremely expensive. $20 for each of these skins are bad, and they're selling you $40 for a bunch of old skins. Now here's the thing. If the game doesn't make money, then that leads to less development, into the death of the game. However, if these skins are extremely overpriced, they won't make money. So here's the thing. The way it should have been, the Battle Pass is perfectly fine, including a new hero, instant unlocks, and decently fine skins with potentially good-looking mythic skin like the Genji skin. However, the older skins should have been bundled up. Want every old cosmetic in the game? Spend the original price of Overwatch 1, $60, and get every skin. But if you already have a percentage of skins, it gets discounted by that percentage. So if you already own 80% of the skins, you should pay $12 for the older skins to fill up your collection. This looks perfectly, as you can sell older skins easier and move on from trying to sell the older ones. Move on from Overwatch 1 skins and move into Overwatch 2. They should have been every non-event skin $10 for just base, right? All the new skins that came out in Overwatch 2 should have been $10. And every mythic, if ever sold outside the Battle Pass, should have been $15. That also includes event skins, by the way. So all Halloween skins should have been $15 at most. And maybe $25 for like 3 skin bundle. This would be essentially exactly up to par for League of Legends. League of Legends skin being about $10 or $15 for about a legendary skin. Now, remember, Activision Blizzard makes these decisions, not the developers. And they have shown a passion for this game, and they don't deserve fate for it. Remember, Activision does, but not the developers. They're just working on it, and they've created cool things over the years, and a lot of that passion comes from those developers. The only real way to fight these video game companies is by voting with your wallets. Do not buy cosmetics, but you can enjoy the game. You can have fun with it. It's a fun game after all. And just play it. It's free. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe.